What if one day you wake up and realize the woman you married is no longer the one standing in front of you? Think for a second about the scale of that thought. You built a life together, invested years and effort into it. You gave her fidelity, children, stability the foundation a family rests upon. And suddenly, without any warning, she starts pulling away. She's colder, more distant, and you notice her phone lighting up more often than her smile directed at you. And somewhere deep inside, you feel it. The woman you thought you knew is slipping through your fingers. Men everywhere are living through this nightmare, where their wives are caught off guard and transform almost overnight. Yesterday, she was the reliable partner you depended on for everything. Today, she's chasing validation like a teenager, desperate for attention on social media. And here's the gut punch. You didn't do anything wrong. You worked hard, you remained faithful, you gave her everything you thought she wanted, but somehow, it's not enough anymore. This is the hidden pain no one talks about out loud, the quiet fear most men carry. What if my wife changes? What if she decides to leave? Not because of me, but because of something inside her that I can't control. This isn't a fantasy. It's a cycle, a cruel reality baked into human nature. You try to keep your balance, but the ground is already giving way. And if you don't see this coming, it can destroy your marriage before you realize what's happening, turning your life into ruins you never suspected. So listen closely, because what I'm about to share may be the only warning you ever get. The bitter truth, the biological timer. You see, most men don't realize their wife doesn't just wake up one day and decide to blow up the marriage. It's not random. It's not sudden. It's been building beneath the surface for years, slowly and subtly, like a crack in the foundation. And the cruel truth is this: when a woman hits her late 30 seconds and early 40 seconds, she's not just aging externally. Something shifts deep inside her, and it's not just a mood swing. Her chemistry changes, her priorities flip upside down, and her very identity starts to crumble. The woman you married is not the same woman looking at you now, and the chasm between who she was and who she has become can swallow your marriage whole. For most of her adult life, she was indoctrinated with a simple equation: her beauty equals her value. From adolescence, society conditioned her to believe that being desired is the same as being valuable. Compliments, glances, attention, this was the currency that validated her existence, and for 2 decades, this system worked flawlessly. Men pursued her, strangers admired her, and every look confirmed what she already believed. She matters because she is desired. Her entire world was built on this external validation. But biology is a ruthless dealer. Around 40, it starts taking back what it so freely gave. Her reflection looks different. The glances don't come as often. The compliments dry up. And when that fuel disappears, the foundation of her self-worth vanishes with it. This is not mere vanity. It is an identity crisis. Imagine a professional athlete who built his entire life around physical dominance. The applause, the wins, the fame, and suddenly his body can't hold up anymore. He's not bad, but he's not who he was. Now, multiply that crisis by 10, because for women, the currency of beauty isn't just a part of their life, it is their life. When she realizes that power is slipping, panic sets in. It's not just about wrinkles or weight, it's about the collapse of who she believes herself to be. Instead of embracing the next life stage with grace, many women fight against reality. They refuse to accept the verdict of time, so they chase a new fix. They seek the same dopamine hit they once got just by walking into a room, grasping for attention that became a lifeline, not a pleasant bonus. The burning dose of validation, the danger of outside attention. In her 20 seconds, a fleeting compliment was just background noise, meaningless. In her 40 seconds, that same compliment feels like oxygen necessary for breath. It ignites her because it proves she is still visible, still relevant, still worthy of attention, and it becomes her sole measure of value. Your devotion no longer counts because it's expected. You are her husband. You are, in essence, locked in to your commitment. She knows you will call her beautiful because you are supposed to. But when a stranger says it, when a man who owes her nothing chooses to give her attention that is an irresistible pull she cannot fight, this is why so many men feel blindsided. They think years of fidelity, sacrifice, and stability should protect them from betrayal, but her internal void demands a different kind of refill. Biology doesn't care about your devotion or your vows. Once she tastes outside validation, it hooks her hard. She remembers what it felt like to be desired, to be someone's fantasy, not someone's obligation, and suddenly, the steady love you built seems boring compared to the sharp thrill of being wanted again. This is not logic, it's chemistry. Her brain is rewiring, demanding more stimulation just to feel the same spark she used to get from the simplest gestures. The worst part is that you cannot compete with this hunger. Your romantic dinners? She sees them as routine. The vacations you plan? Maintenance. The intimacy you've refined over years? Background noise. Her neural pathways are starving for novelty, and you, her safe and predictable husband, can no longer light up her brain. To her, you become invisible, comfortable, safe. And in that safety, she feels nothing but stagnation. This internal anesthesia pushes her to the edge, so she seeks extremes. She craves chaos. She needs that dopamine flash, even if it means risking everything you built together. This is why men who never thought about divorce suddenly find themselves abandoned. Not because they failed as husbands, but because their wives are desperately trying to escape the mirror that reminds them time has passed. They no longer see marriage as stability, they see it as a prison, locking them into a version of themselves they no longer want to be. And once that shift happens, no amount of love, effort, or fidelity can stop the avalanche. The warning signs and catalysts, this invisible timer, baked into every marriage, runs in the background. It's ticking unheard over the daily hustle. Most men don't notice it until it's too late. They simply brush off the red flags, thinking it's just a mood or fatigue. They believe that true love will protect them from any problems. But these small changes are the first signs of a major catastrophe unfolding right before your eyes. When she starts to glowingly recall the past, and often nostalgizes about those days, it means she's no longer here, but mentally somewhere in the past. If she talks about old boyfriends with warmth rather than disdain, know this: she's comparing your life to imagined, perfect memories, and your reality is losing. Her imagined world becomes more important to her than the real one. When she rejoices in even the smallest attention from another man at work or a party, you must understand that the danger is near. To ignore this is to consciously kill your marriage. In such moments, her head is occupied with finding an exit, not with trying to fix things, because she thinks that only out the door awaits her true happiness. She has already left you in spirit while you still think everything is fine. And when everything collapses, it's not just the end of a marriage. Her decision will be final, and no amount of pleading or attempts to repair the relationship will work. Your fidelity and common sense are powerless against her desire for a new, bright emotion. In the end, it will destroy your family, your peace of mind, and your stability, leaving behind only problems and long court battles. External fuel: society, friends, and social media. The danger is magnified because she's not just driven by biology. The world around her is pouring fuel on the fire with terrifying efficiency. As soon as the panic sets in, she doesn't sit quietly and reflect, trying to find an inner core. She seeks validation for her turmoil, and society is ready to hand it to her on a silver platter, actively encouraging her flight from responsibility. Every magazine cover, every talk show, every influencer lies to her the same thing: you deserve better. You should never settle. Happiness is everything. This is gasoline poured directly onto her fear, and instead of calming her, It justifies her revolt against her established life. She's surrounded by voices that convince her that stability is the enemy. Now, add her new social circle. Notice that at this stage, divorced women almost always enter her life. They aren't just friends, they are enablers. They are the dealers, pushing her the illusion called freedom. Freedom from responsibility, freedom from routine, freedom from the life she once begged for. These women don't tell her to fight for her marriage or remind her of her vows. They sit with glasses of wine, exchanging stories about how they were oppressed, how unhappy they were, and how liberated they feel now. And your wife, listening to this, begins to see her stable family not as a blessing, but as a cage. She returns home after such evenings with a new perspective. Suddenly, any petty argument becomes emotional abuse, any expectation, control, any duty, sacrifice. She starts rewriting history, turning years of devotion into years of oppression. And she believes it because she has a crowd supporting her. But the worst is the screen she can't put down. Social media becomes her new reality. Hours of scrolling through carefully curated feeds, transformation stories, middle-aged women who find themselves, single moms who claim they've never been happier. The algorithm reads her mind and shows her exactly what she desperately wants to see. Proof that leaving is brave, proof that starting over is exciting, proof that it's not too late to recapture the fantasy of youth. She compares her reality to a digital lie. And reality always loses to fantasy, because Instagram filters don't show the consequences of a broken home. The consequences: destruction of the narrative. When she crosses the line, she's not just betraying you, she's rewriting your entire marriage to fit her new narrative, erasing decades of shared memories. She acts as if you were never a unit. Suddenly, the accusations fly. You never were good enough. You were controlling. You were cold. Every kind word, every shared holiday becomes subject to re-evaluation. She will delete every good memory, claim she was pretending, that she was unhappy for years, and that the life you built was a lie. And she will believe in it, because she needs to convince herself to avoid self-condemnation. This new, fake version of reality becomes her shield from conscience. She genuinely believes in this lie to maintain her new identity. The truth that she destroyed something good for a fleeting fix would crush her, so she needs to paint you as the villain so she can play the heroine, justifying her pain and chaos. This psychological defense mechanism leaves you no chance for objectivity, and the consequences don't just hit you, they hit your children like shrapnel, leaving deep, unhealing wounds. She tells herself they will understand, that they want her to be happy, that they will adjust. But children don't care about their parents' happiness. They need stability. They need both parents to be there, in their usual safe world. And now their world is split in two, because their mother needed to feel young one more time. They become the unwitting victims of her need for self-affirmation. They will spend years in therapy, trying to understand why her panic was more important than their safety, and their childhood will become a hostage to her crisis. The destruction of the family is a direct side effect of her inability to cope with her own age. This selfish pursuit of sensation often breaks the child's psyche, requiring years of correction. She doesn't see that she is paying for her new emotions with her children's stability. Children pay for her freedom with their own insecurity about the future. Comparing crises, man and woman. Men and women both face aging. It's an inevitable stage, but their reaction is opposite. But how it hits is completely different, which determines the vector of their subsequent decisions. When a man panics about aging, he usually tries to reclaim youth with things. He buys a car. He hits the gym. He embarrasses himself, sure, but it usually doesn't destroy his family. His crisis is external, focused on demonstrating activity. He wants to prove that his capabilities haven't run out. For him, aging often means accumulating resources and increasing status, which compensates for physical changes. A woman's crisis is internal, and it's savage. She doesn't just feel older, She feels erased, forgotten, irrelevant, and this fear consumes her alive, turning into panic. She perceives the loss of youth as the loss of her main power and currency. Her panic doesn't lead her to buy a car, it leads her to explode the very foundation of her life. A 4-5-year-old man can look in the mirror and know that if he wanted to, he could still attract women. That knowledge alone often calms the storm. He doesn't need to act, because the option is there, and this inner confidence stabilizes his behavior. This backup option gives him a sense of control, even if he is faithful. But a 4-5-year-old woman believes her last chance to be desired is slipping away, and that sense of finality gives her no peace. This belief turns into desperation, and desperation is dangerous. It doesn't think about consequences. It doesn't care about the wreckage left behind. It only matters that she feels alive in the moment. And here's the destructive moment. A man's crisis might elicit eye-rolling, but a woman's crisis burns her world to the ground. Her crisis is an existential battle for significance that she projects onto the family. She tells herself she's finally being brave, that she's finding herself, that she deserves better. She rewrites her marriage as a prison, her husband as a villain, her children as resilient enough to adjust. This is not evil, this is fear. But fear in this form is catastrophic. This fear makes her destroy everything permanent for a fleeting sensation of novelty. What to do? Protect yourself. Here is the hardest truth. Once this transformation occurs, the woman you married is gone. She may wear the same face, she may have the same name, but inside, she is someone else, a complete stranger. You cannot bring her back with love, because you represent everything she is running from: aging, predictability, mortality. Your very presence reminds her that youth has passed, and no husband can compete with such a horror. So the first step is to accept this new, harsh reality. So what can you do? First of all, recognize the signs before it's too late. If her identity is entirely built on appearance, if she craves attention like oxygen, if she cannot accept the reality of aging, you are in danger, and it's time to act. Secondly, understand that her departure is not your failure. You cannot fix someone's struggle with time, and stop blaming yourself for her internal crisis. And most importantly, protect yourself and your children. Document everything, safeguard your assets, be ready for the storm, because when a woman decides to blow up her life, she doesn't leave quietly. She pulls everyone down with her. Focus all your energy not on trying to save her, but on strengthening your connection with your children and restoring your own emotional balance. Do not give in to the desire to participate in her game of rewriting history. Your goal is calmness and protection of your interests, not proving your righteousness to her. Modern culture has not prepared women for long-term commitments. It taught them to chase feelings, not build foundations. It told them that excitement is more important than stability. It sold them the fantasy that you deserve better, and happiness is everything. And when the excitement fades, as it always does, they panic, they run, they destroy. Of course, not all women go down this path. There are exceptions who value commitment above fleeting emotions. However, the basis of the mass destruction of marriages after 40 is precisely this biological and social malfunction. If your wife is approaching 40, watch carefully. Look for signs of panic, obsession with youth, sudden nostalgia, hunger for approval, quiet dissatisfaction with responsibility. These are the cracks in the wall, the signals that destruction is coming. And when it happens, it won't be just her life in ruins. It will be your life. It will be your children's lives. Women, after 40, don't just leave. They destroy. Not because they are evil, but because they are terrified. Terrified of aging, terrified of becoming invisible, terrified of becoming ordinary. And in this terror, they will sacrifice everything and everyone to feel special one more time. This is not a personal choice, but a fear-driven reaction fueled by society. Your task is to separate yourself and children from this self-destructive vortex. If this truth has struck a chord with you, do not sit idly by, hoping the problem will solve itself. Inaction is the biggest risk in this situation. Start acting today while you still have a chance to control the consequences. Every day that you waste on denial or empty hopes brings you closer to an uncontrollable collapse. Your peace of mind and the future of your children depend on your ability to early reaction and pragmatic planning. Subscribe now to the Psycheria channel to never miss the warnings other men regret and to get clear strategies for protection and crisis exit. Share this video because every man deserves to see the impending destruction before it hits, so he can prepare and protect his family. Remember, knowledge is not only power, but also the best defense.